review of McFarland USA. McFarland USA is directed by Nikki Caro. It stars Kevin Costner and a bunch of other very talented actors and actresses. Now, the premise of this movie follows the story of Jim White, who is played by Kevin Costner. He ends up getting fired from a very prestigious high school as a football coach. Due to him losing this job, he ends up having a very hard time finding another job as a coach until he then finds a position in McFarland, USA, which is not the most ideal location for a man that was once in a very good position to then have to move his family to a high school that is not considered a very well-established high school and a very low-income town, which he ends up having to go due to the fact that he can't find work anywhere else. He ends up realizing that the football team in this high school just completely sucks, and that the majority of the kids in this school are just not meant to be football players. So he comes up with this idea that even though he doesn't know the sport very well, of opening up a department for the school for cross-country running, because he feels like that is a sport that these kids are going to excel in, because he's seen them run and he knows they have the ability to really excel in this sport. I went into this movie with the mindset of the director who directed this movie has directed two movies that I really enjoyed. Whale Rider and Northern Country, two films that I thought were really excellent. So I thought going into this movie that there's no possibility that this movie is going to be bad. It'll be maybe alright, but bad is not one of the things I thought this movie was going to be, just basing off of who the director was for this film. And I have to say, I wasn't wrong, because this movie was pretty damn good. Now, there's a lot of things that I took from this movie that I really enjoyed, and one of the things that I was worried about prior to realizing who the director was and just, watching the trailer, I felt like there was a possibility that the movie was gonna stereotype the Mexican culture or just Mexican people in general. But I have to say, this movie was tastefully done when it came to highlighting just Mexican culture and just the Mexican, lifestyle back in those times, because this movie takes place in the 80s. And, it, shows you how these people lived and the reality of Mexican families, even till this day, when it comes to coming to the United States and trying to make a life for themselves here. And this movie did a really good job in respecting that lifestyle and that culture and those people and what they were trying to do to better themselves or just to live life, one day at a time. And the other thing that I was fearing about this movie, that this movie really didn't do, was do the cliche, sports movie thing that we always see in sports films. Yes, this movie had some of that stuff here and there, but it wasn't anything that was over the top or way too obvious. I think it did a really good job in telling this story. And of course, it's based on a true story, so it's not so much that they can, tell and, make it too, cliche in the sense, because they're just basically taking a story that actually really did happen and making it into a film, taking elements of what took place with these kids and the coach and his interaction with the kids and, trying to inspire them and them inspiring him, which is, again, now that I say it, is pretty cliche, storytelling, but this is based on a true story, and from what I understand, from what I read, and from what the movie told me, these events actually did happen. These kids were inspired by this man. And I thought the movie overall was very inspirational. I found myself laughing and smiling a lot during this movie. There was very intense moments as well, but overall the movie was just very uplifting, and it got me a little teary-eyed at certain points as well, because there was just some moments that you just really felt for these characters, especially the kid characters. And there was this one character named Thomas, who was played by Carlos Pratt. He was absolutely excellent. I really, really enjoyed him in this role. Another actor/actress that I have to talk about is Maria Bello. I thought she did an excellent job too. She was kind of the guardian angel to Kevin Costner's character. She was like the voice of reason when it came to the situation he was in this community they were in. So overall, this movie was surprising for me. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting to. This is one of those sports movies that really makes you feel good. It really inspires you, and it really makes you admire, you know, just people in the position of this man, Jim White, and the things he did to inspire other people, especially these young boys who didn't really think there was anything else for them to really look forward to outside from being workers of the field, to then becoming who they later end up becoming, which you'll then see in the movie if you go and see it, because it's a really excellent movie. So overall, I definitely recommend this movie to anybody who has any remote interest in seeing it. You want to see a really good inspirational movie that'll make you smile, make you laugh, will probably make you cry. Check this movie out. It won't disappoint. So that is my review of McFarland USA. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. 50 Shades of Grey is directed by Sam Taylor Johnson. It stars Dakota Johnson, Jamie Dornan, and a bunch of other very talented actors and actresses. Now, the premise of this movie follows the character of Anastasia, who is played by Dakota Johnson. She is a senior in college. She ends up doing a favor for her roommate, who is sick, who is a journalist, who ends up getting an interview with Christian Grey, who is very known and popular. He's a billionaire, he's young, he's